APC won about 12. And of course, we're trying to look at the implication of all these as we look ahead for the 2027 general elections. Of course, the ADC also took part in that election. But as much as this coalition is trying to gather momentum, we cannot really see any significant impact or performance of the ADC during this by-election. We have joining us this morning Barrister Jide Ologun, is a lawyer and PR expert, to help us go through this on the program this morning. It's our pleasure to have you.
It's my pleasure too. Thank you.
Okay, it was a mix of so many controversy during the by-election of Saturday. Of course, we saw voter apathy, vote buying, and a bit of violence in some parts of the country. But by and large, what do you make of the performance of INEC as well as the political parties in this by-election?
Thank you very much. INEC has conducted the election as required constitutionally, and some are requesting that some of those elections be cancelled. For instance, APC is asking for such, despite the wide margin of victory. We're trying to locate it on the allegation of massive violence. For instance, you recall that about 288 thugs were arrested, I think in Kano or so. And there are major stakeholders when we talk about elections. You talk about the umpire, the INEC, you talk about the parties, we talk about the electorate. So, and I doubt if anything has changed in the electoral offenses that are associated with our elections in Nigeria. For instance, in Kaduna, about 25.9 million naira cash was found with a party faithful, but the party came out to say that money was not meant for vote buying, but for the welfare of the about 5,000 party agents mobilized for by-election. And by the way, a by-election is a special election between general elections. For probably those who have resigned from the office or left by death or by any means. And here we are now. The issue of violence was part of it. Then the issue of apathy, though in some areas, the electorates came out to vote. So I purposely brought in the issue of the stakeholders. For instance, for a politician, it's about winning the election. So all those issues of security and those ones. For instance, now, in the southeastern part of the country, there is an allegation that a party candidate was prevented from coming to exercise the franchise because he was held hostage by the state security apparatus. So you find all these complaints, and the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in his own comments, disclosed that there were no widespread violence and that the election went, peacefully, and it's credible. It should be, because APC claimed 12 out of the 16 constituencies victories, with ABGA clinching to 2, and then PDP and NNPP sharing 1-1, and ADC. ADC came out to say that they didn't actually field candidates that much, and I didn't expect them to perform so well, in the sense that the coalition just came together, I think 1st of July or thereabout, 2025. So they still have a lot to do in synchronizing the divergent elements that are coming together to coalesce.
And their house is still not in order.
Exactly, in the party.
Yeah. Let's quickly talk about Oyo State, because for some reason, Oyo State seemed to be one state that, the PDP is still quite strong, if you ask me, because the governor of Oyo State is a member of the PDP. And, of course, the APC failed to secure victory in that election, even though the person who had died before that election was declared was an APC member, and the APC also fielded a candidate at that election. But the PDP overwhelmingly won that election. Do you think that contrary to opinion that PDP is dead, did that also, you know, if you look at what happened during that by-election and the win for the PDP, what does this say about the strength of that party in Oyo State?
Thank you for that brilliant question. You see, when you talk of electoral politics, you graduated from the world level to the national level, and the interests differ. And that is why, as I predicted, I think in 2018, towards even the 2019 elections, and I said that a time will come in Nigeria when loyalty will not be strictly for party, but for political interest.
Okay.
And that's why you saw the G5 in 2023 in PDP saying, yes, we love PDP, we are in this party, we continue to hold it strong, but we are voting for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the presidential candidate of another political party, APC. And Wike and some of his friends were able to fly that card. But Wike has not departed from PDP.
At all.
So even though Seyi Makinde supported the victory of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2023, he did not jeopardize the interests of PDP at the state level.
Right.
And I think that is still played out now because he has a responsibility to his followers. And when you talk about the National Assembly, for instance, and all those, it's about strength also. Right now in the Senate, at the last count, APC, through defection and everything, already has 70 members out of the 109. Just waiting for 3 more members to have the 2/3 majority.
Right.
Taking major decisions and things like that. So it's still a game of numbers. But right now, the political dynamics in Nigeria has been demystified. Because, I mean, using Wike as a brilliant example, Wike is operating within 2 parties. And PDP has not been able to penalize him, have not studied their constitution or whatever, you see. And even more governors are reportedly coming out now to say that they will support Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, despite the fact that not all of them are in APC. And we don't know how many of them will still decamp. For instance, you can see Akwa Ibom, Delta State, you know, migrating the whole political machinery into APC. And you're likely to see more of that. And the APC is rejoicing over that. And that is why there is great confusion in ADC, you know, destabilizing other parties. For instance, you would have read about PDP claiming they are not going into coalition with any party, and yet some of their members are moving there. You can see Labour Party also, you know, so, but by and large, politicians are having their cool time. You know, like I always say, my concern is just about the citizens who are yet to start benefiting from the deserved good governance.
Okay. All right. You just pointed out now that politics is a game of number. Out of 16, the APC won 12. And is this like a dress rehearsal for the year 2027 general elections? Conscious of the fact that Nigerians are hungry and they are angry, yet the APC won.
See, let me start from that comment that Nigerians are hungry and angry. Maybe hungry, but not angry.
Okay.
Yes. You know, when you try to dissect the concept of anger, then you go to Kenya, where the citizens rose up and proceeded against the politicians that, hey, we cannot continue this way. Perhaps that anger was expressed during the NSAS regime, but Nigerians are yet to be angry. I think they are just condoning. You know, they have been accustomed to the crisis in the land, because it's a crisis. Because what Section 16 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says is that wealth should not be concentrated in the hands of a few. That the economy should be operated in a way that maximum happiness, maximum welfare is provided for the citizens. So we are, you know, Nigerians are elastic in nature, so they just keep coping and coping and coping and coping. So having said that, right now, politically speaking, APC is strong, and I won't be
You won't mince
stingy
words about that.
with that. And if you have been monitoring the moves of the leadership of APC, leadership counts. How he's maneuvering and the goodwill spreading, despite the hardship in the land. And the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, himself has not denied that reality.
True.
In fact, he was addressing the governors that, hey, I've given you more money from the fuel subsidy windfall. People are complaining, take care of them. But the mechanism he has now to ensure that the governors take care of the citizens within their state is another issue for discussion, which is very, very important. Most of the time, the focus is on the central. And again, recently, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala also commented that the president has succeeded in stabilizing the economy. Though the next move now is to extend the safety nets
to the people.
Because I came across an analysis yesterday measuring the some of the strongest nations in the world in terms of GDP, and Nigeria featured. But an addition was put on it that despite this enviable GDP, that the people are poor. The people are hungry. The people are, despite the huge resources that we have. And so it's an assignment for the president and commander-in-chief of the armed forces. And before coming into studio this morning, I was having this conversation with someone, and the man asked me that, won't these people mess up the efforts of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu if they don't really deploy what should be deployed? And I said it's up to the president. If you want his efforts messed up, so be it. He should not be carried away by the paraphernalia of office. People must be held accountable. The president cannot claim, and he has not claimed, that he does not know people are suffering. Because in 2017, yes, 2017, the president was reviewing the midterm scorecard of the former president, Muhammadu Buhari. And he stated clearly that people are facing hardship, they are hungry. And he said it clearly that he was not criticizing. And this is an intra-party matter. That he should do more. Now he's there. He's there. So he has to ensure that focus is shifted to the majority of citizens. I'm not talking of minority. There are some elite in this country who are so wealthy they can destabilize anything. And money made from Nigeria. I mean, from the subsidy scam and the oil thieves and the gold thieves and all the embezzlers. And that's why beyond the politicking, good governance is important.
Is key. Let's talk about voter apathy, voter behavior. Of course, it was by-election in 12 states, of course, 16 federal constituencies. But from all that you heard from those states, the voters themselves, their attitude on Saturday, was it different from when we had or whenever we have the general elections, talking about vote buying, talking about people, particular about stomach infrastructure, like we always say, or also demanding for monies to be given on election day. So when you look at the attitude of the people, what we saw on Saturday, was it any different from what we would have seen during regular general elections?
It won't be different because poverty has been weaponized. You see, the poor man has little latitude of discretion. So when opportunities come like that, it doesn't matter. I tried to put that 25.9 million naira on the scale of disposable revenue. If you divide it by the 5,000 agents that were claimed to have been the likely beneficiaries, how much will it come to? You can go and do that calculation. You see, so If you risk your life, snatch polling box and everything for the sake of such amount of money, and yes, some are going away with billions. So, and in an environment of poverty, crisis is inevitable. So that's what we have now. So we may not depart from it until we shift our focus to reviving the economy. And we have all it takes. I've been saying it. Large deposit of crude oil, gas. We even have lithium in this country that is on high demand globally. And the battle between Ukraine and Russia has amplified our potential to make more money from gas. But how do we produce? How productive are we? You see, we fled, at a point in time, I read that we fled enough gas to provide electricity for about 800 million citizens. You know, and we are still promising to stop this gas flaring. I just mentioned it now, and I always mention it in this wonderful studio. Who are the oil thieves in Nigeria? The about 228 thugs or 288 thugs that were reportedly accosted during this recent by-election. It was reported that their sponsors also are known. Names were mentioned. But how many of them will be prosecuted? That's the point. So after the victory, they just use influence, release them, they go to their homes and perhaps prepare for 2027. So because there are those who are professional thugs for politics. And it didn't start now. If you go back to the First Republic, it featured there. And that is why some politicians may not repent from impoverishing
the people,
some citizens, so that they can continue to use them. But the question I have for those thugs is that when these politicians win their elections, do they ask you to follow them to collect their victory certificate, return certificate that INEC says, and that you come and take photograph with them for the media to display? So you are just thug by the backside, you know, running the dirty errands for them. And again, we must not shy away from discussing a recent judicial decision in Canada that classified APC and ADC as terroristic in nature. And points were raised to the effect that from intelligence and every data they have gathered, that these parties are associated with violence. So we have a lot to do.
Right.
Many are not happy with that. It's a Canadian decision, so I doubt if we should be so bothered. But in public
Even though
relations,
the government is asking for a retraction.
in public relations, you talk about image and reputation. The image is the picture you are trying to paint in the hearts of your publics. The reputation is who you are. You see, so do we have, so if those people now read about, because these recent by-elections, the thugs were arrested with different kinds of weapons. And what is terrorism? Terrorism is the engagement of violence and intimidation for some goals. Part of the goals are political. So we need to begin to shift from where we have been and join the League of Decent Societies. You know, I was also doing a research. You know, there are countries where the policemen are almost idle. They have no need for guns. You know, in Norway, I think Norway imports inmates from neighboring country just to keep their
prisons
functional.
Right.
You know, low. You talk about Iceland. Low, almost impossible for crime to take place. You know, so, and these are nations. You know, in Singapore also, Singapore has a high profile of low criminality because it's not just allowed. The system has been upgraded in the way that the rule of law must prevail. But we are on a journey, and we keep wishing Nigeria the best to transit. You know, because some will tell you, some of those countries you mentioned, they've come a long way. Yes, we know they've come a long way, but let's also see those signs. I'm still asking, who are the sponsors of the oil theft in Nigeria? Right. You have arrested some of, just like the thugs that are arrested now. Maybe in another 4 weeks, we are reading about something else. Nobody wants to be bothered, you know. In fact, it did not even feature in their in the comments of the president himself. His own is
INEC
my
did
party
well.
has won. My party has won.
And INEC has done well.
Exactly. And if you are not so satisfied,
You can
go
go
to
to
court.
court.
Okay. All right. We have discussed the people and the politicians. Let's talk about INEC now. In terms of performance for this by-election, where would you place INEC in terms of arrival of materials and declaration of results?
It's a bouquet of experiences, you know, but INEC is still challenged because I read about beavers not functioning as they should and things like that. I think we need to move forward, but I think it's a general issue right now. You know, there is hardly a government agency you patronize now that you don't have one delay or the other. In fact, you'll be amazed that sometimes simple thing as applying for certified true copy of a title document from a land registry, you are told there is no photocopier or there is no energy to power photocopier, and for days you are waiting. I have an issue now with the Corporate Affairs Commission after paying annual returns to activate the company on their portal has become an almost impossible thing. And that's what we are telling the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. Even if you have the best of intentions, what mechanism do you have to make sure that the people experience ease of doing business, good governance in the country? Otherwise, you just be claiming, oh, I have made this available, I have released this and that. I mean, these are technology is one of the things we studied in technology is that one of the goals is to simplify processes.
Right.
Simplify processes. So INEC is still struggling. But then, if there are no stiff penalties, that will continue. I mean, we read about how JAM also came up with their own glitches, and WAEC followed. You know, even despite the fact that I read a candidate committed suicide.
Right.
So who will pay for that suicide? So we need to wake up as a nation. We have all it takes to be a great country, and we can only achieve that when focus is shifted to making the citizens have a sense of belonging. That yes, this is a great nation, and some of us are ready to sell that brand. We love Nigeria, we are proud of Nigeria, but please, the leadership should ensure that the culture of service is reinvented in this country.
Right. Just as a build up to Ajibola's question, I know you mentioned this in passing, and that is again talking about technology. You did say that, I mean, technology is meant to help simplify the process, but it's beginning to look like it's a tall order to get technology to work in favor of electoral issues here in Nigeria. Of course, after this by-election, we'll start getting ready for the next election. And on a daily basis, INEC also is saying this is the time for Nigerians to go back and start registering, especially for those who are yet to register. So what kind of efforts would you like for INEC to place on technology, as well as from the by-election that we had on Saturday and moving to the next general elections, the electoral reforms? What are the expectations? What were some of those things that you didn't see on Saturday that you wish that INEC will consolidate on, so that election processes can be easier, can be simpler, and be more believable?
You know, you upscale the tech factor. Get experts. Who are the people that are engaged to manage these facilities? That is one big question. So, and there should be penalties. I mean, some of our leaders travel like we do. When you get to the airport now abroad, you cannot be going to somebody to help you with your boarding pass.
Right. True.
The facilities are there. Serve yourself. I was in JFK airport in New York City, and I needed a trolley. You go there, slot in your dollar,
and then
you get your change, the trolley will be dislodged, you pack your things. But here, you have to pay to somebody, beg somebody, and they will be harassing you. You see different kinds of... These are the issues.
Right.
If you want to embrace technology, it must be with sincerity of purpose. But look at what Honorable Olubumi went through in the Ministry of Internal Affairs. People resisted him. But thank God he was bold. We discussed this yesterday. You will read that they have installed technology at the seaport to ease clearing with customs. You get that these things are not functioning.
Right.
So we are not, you see, and section 15 subsection 5 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended says clearly that the state shall abolish corrupt practices and abuse of office. So if there are installations that should make business easier for citizens and somebody is obstructing it, the person must pay for it.
Right.
That is why, I mean, if you travel abroad, I've rolled out this illustration. I have a medical doctor cousin, Dr. Adeni, who works in the US. I have never seen him physically in the US when I go on vacation because he must be on duty.
Right.
He will not even pick my call. If I'm in New York, maybe later I can just send a message, because over there you cannot claim that a patient is brought in and when you were supposed to attend to that patient, your cousin phoned. Which is a common thing here. It's a common thing. You can, and you know, yesterday I was challenging the government on this issue of building bus parks in 6 regions. Beautiful project, billions of naira. And one of the reasons is that, for safety of passengers or whatever. And I have challenged them. Let's start from Lagos State. I want one of the commissioners to disguise and go to Oshodi-Oke, where you have that big,
The bus.
whatever. Park your car on that bridge, Oshodi-Oke, and pretend there is no fuel in the car. Within 10 minutes, if 7 guys don't show up to obtain you, then come back to tell us the environment is safe. I mean, let's leave the theory behind. Even go and look at that facility. Glass broken. At the time, the former governor, Ambode, spent so much blocking the expressway. Go to Ojota now. Citizens have brought down those things. At the time, I was shouting, how can you have pedestrian bridges? And people are crossing. So they brought Kai and all those trucks. But there is a concept of consistency in implementing laws. You don't implement your laws for 2 weeks and disappear for 3 weeks.
Right.
Because naturally, human beings are wired to be disobedient. It's a man to be disobedient. That is why a child will tell you, leave me alone, leave me alone. So for you to have a sense, I've been asking, even in this Lagos, and I'm doing this with free mind because I want a vibrant society for all. The Korope drivers, is it that they have a license from the government not to observe the traffic lights? Is anything special about them? We need to know. And all these things. So we need to focus on the needful. Somebody was telling us that even a bus park that they built in Abuja, he has never seen a single bus in that
Getting into the park.
Please, it is our money. If you are going to spend it well, come to public relations. We advise you. Let me tell us, an NGO just woke up, let's go and dig borehole for them in a community in the northern part of the country. And they dug the borehole in that community. And the women were not coming to fetch water. They were still going to far places to fetch water. And somebody advised them, why don't you conduct
a research?
A research? And the women, in the course of research, said that water is not serving our purpose. Because the only time we have as women
to do our
to gossip and gist is when we go far away from these husbands.
I think somebody mentioned it.
It was Wale Adeoye who mentioned this.
To go and fetch water. Now you are now bringing the water. We don't need the water. So what do Nigerians need? You need to find out.
Right. And no assumptions.
There are bad roads in places. So when you build the bus parks now, billions of naira are gone. No. In public relations, before you even embark on any campaign, you start with research.
Right.
In the course of implementing that campaign, you continue with research. When you finish that campaign, you also end it with research to continue that circle. And so, what do Nigerians need? You don't just come and say, we want to renovate the airport, we want to do this work, we want to do that work. And again, back to the people. That is the essence of having your constituency representation in the different forms of houses of assembly and everywhere. But do you even invite them to sit down? And you are going to them. Hey, I want to do naming ceremony, honorable. Hey, I've not paid the school fees, so hey, and they come and be sharing rice. I mean, let's wake up. Nigeria is too rich to have poverty as part of our nomenclature. I mean, I stand on that pedestal.
Okay, Mr. Logun, talking about the people still, Abimbola mentioned earlier that the turnout was quite poor in most of the areas or constituencies. The people themselves, do they value their votes or their strength in determining who becomes what when it comes to our election? Why are they settling for stipend as against using their votes to change their narrative?
Not all of them are struggling for stipend. Some of them. And those are political jobbers. But you see, there is this analogy in industrial psychology. It's called conditioning. You can see the elephant. As big as the elephant is, if you tie the elephant down for 6 months, the elephant will not be able to go far from that environment. After 6 months, if you remove that rope, the elephant would have been conditioned to the fact that I cannot go beyond this limit. And that is what has happened in Nigeria. Nigerians have not felt the sense of having credible elections. Perhaps beyond the 1993 open ballot option A4. And for many, it's just like you invite people today, oh, come for my 40th birthday. They come, they sit under the canopy, you are serving your high guests and everything, and you keep asking, what do you want to eat, what do you want to eat, until they go. So look for one book and eat. Your 45th birthday, you invite them again, and they say, okay, he's our brother, let's go there. And they arrive there, and the best you can give them is a bottle of water. And they see people popping champagne, drinking wine, rejoicing. On your 50th birthday, in fact, if they see your invitation, they will send courses to you. And that is what is, I like, let's be factual. There was election in the UK. You know what I mean? How many people knew there was election? If I ask some of us now who the Chancellor of Germany is, many people here may not know. There was election in Germany. Did you hear people chasing themselves with cutlass or beavers is not working? IREV is not for this. I mean, we should move beyond all these ridiculous manifestations. So it's and Nigeria has the capacity. And let me say this. I've said it, and it's happening. It's only God Almighty that will not leave office. Man will leave office. I mean, it's a clear concept. You leave office. So whether you are desperate to get there or desperate to remain there, it's no big deal. Do you know that even in Canada, the former PM has stepped, many people don't know, aside, because he just realized that I cannot cope anymore. Look at the UK. Liz Truss became prime minister. And when they brought her the assignment to her table, she read through and realized I cannot cope with it.
I need to go
on her own.
She left.
Excuse me. That is leadership. That is
right. We'll have to leave this conversation here this morning. Thank you so much, Barrister Jide Logun, for always finding time to be with us here on the conversation. We appreciate your thoughts.
My pleasure. God bless Nigeria.
Right. Of course, God bless Nigeria. Like Mr. Logun, we always end anytime he's here. It means that, of course, we all have faith in our country, Nigeria, but we all need to do more from the political class to the voters ourselves. Everybody has a stake in ensuring that in